Who decides what stories deserve to be told? And how many scars must a woman carry before the world finally listens to her voice? Not the one that sings, but the one that aches. Loretta Lynn wasn't just a voice on the radio or a name on country music charts. She was a woman shaped by brutal truths, her every lyric born from pain, and her success carved out of a world that tried to silence her from the very beginning. Behind the rhinestone dresses and bright red lipstick was a girl from a broken wooden shack in Butcher Hollow, Kentucky, taught to hold back tears before she ever learned to write her name. Loretta didn't rise to fame on dreams. She sang because she had to, because there was no other way to survive. And as her voice rang out across dusty bars and eventually into millions of homes, what people heard wasn't just music, it was survival, defiance, and a haunting echo of all the things women were never allowed to say out loud. Born into grinding poverty, Loretta's childhood was heavy with mud, hunger, and silence. Her family's wooden shack wasn't just a house, it was a cage that echoed with the sound of men drinking and women swallowing their pain. In a time and place where girls were raised to be invisible and obedient, she was taught that endurance was a woman's duty. By 15, she was married. By 18, she was a mother of 4. And by 20, she was standing in smoky rooms, gripping a guitar not as a performer chasing fame, but as a woman clinging to the only way she knew how to speak. Her songs didn't ask for sympathy. They demanded to be heard. And that voice, unpolished, honest, and searing with truth, would go on to shake the foundation of country music. Loretta Lynn didn't sugarcoat her life, and she refused to let the world paint over its ugliness. She sang about the things no one else dared to say. Infidelity, domestic abuse, the cruelty of silence, and the relentless objectification of women. These weren't themes to her. They were realities she lived. Her song, Don't Come Home A-Drinkin' with Lovin' on Your Mind, wasn't just catchy. It was a cry from a woman who had suffered too long in a marriage where love came second to violence. And The Pill was a revolutionary anthem that rattled the cages of conservative America by celebrating a woman's right to control her own body. Nashville didn't know what to do with her. Radio stations banned her. Executives called her too poor, too raw, and too country. But Loretta didn't bend. She kept singing, her voice cutting through the air like fire through frost, wrapped in a floral dress and war paint lipstick, daring anyone to silence her. Yet, behind every song was a cost. Loretta paid dearly for her truth. Her marriage to Doolittle Lynn was the first and longest prison she ever knew. He may have been the one who pushed her into the music industry, but he was also the man who beat her, belittled her, and convinced her that pain was just another part of love. He cheated, drank, and let jealousy of her success turn violent. Behind the public smiles and tender interviews was a home full of broken promises and bruises. Loretta kept writing love songs, trying to stitch the wounds shut with lyrics and chords, but nothing could stop the bleeding. She stayed with him for 48 years. And even though she once wrote songs that tried to save their marriage, by 90, she looked back with deep regret. She didn't mourn the end. She mourned the years she lost believing she had no other choice. And Doolittle wasn't the only man who hurt her. Conway Twitty, the man whose name was often mentioned alongside hers as part of country music's most iconic duet duo, also left her scarred. Though their chemistry seemed effortless, their relationship was far from golden. Behind the scenes, Conway ensured his name always came first. He manipulated their contracts, controlled their schedules, and shaped the narrative so that Loretta appeared to be riding his coattails. In a radio interview, he had the audacity to claim he gave her a second career, reducing all her labor, pain, and fire to a side story in his spotlight. Loretta didn't hate him instantly. The betrayal took time to settle in, time spent on stages together, time spent trying to protect the illusion. But eventually, the love she thought she had for him turned to disillusionment. She realized she hadn't loved Conway, she had loved the version of him that didn't exist. Then came Merle Haggard, a man she once counted as a trusted friend. He wounded her with words that masqueraded as humor, but cut like glass. On national television, Merle made a comment comparing Loretta to a hen that crows on time, stripping her of dignity in front of millions. People laughed. Loretta didn't. That joke, thrown off so carelessly, made her feel small, humiliated, and disposable. She tried to brush it off, but the pain lingered. It reminded her that no matter how far she had come, she could still be dragged down by the very people who once stood beside her. David Allan Coe's cruelty was different. His violence wasn't physical or emotional, it was musical. In 1984, while Loretta was being honored with a Grammy nomination, Coe released a repulsive underground song titled Loretta's Love and Chain. It wasn't just vulgar, it was a grotesque attempt to degrade her. The lyrics were laced with violent sexual fantasies that mocked her legacy and reduced her to a sick joke. The song wasn't even commercially released, but it spread fast through the South, becoming a whispered insult passed around like dirty gossip. Coe didn't just insult her music, he violated her soul. Nashville's reaction was muted. Legal options were non-existent. Loretta was left to endure the humiliation alone. When she walked up to accept her award, she did so with that song echoing in the shadows, a reminder that even at the height of her success, she could still be torn down by a man's hate disguised as rebellion. But perhaps the deepest wound came from a man she never expected to hurt her, Johnny Cash. Loretta admired Johnny. They shared battles with addiction, censorship, and the sharp edges of fame. She celebrated his triumphs, rooted for him at the Hall of Fame, and believed that if anyone understood her fight, it was him. But when she was blacklisted in 1999 for being too old and too vocal about women's rights, Johnny said nothing. Worse, when asked about it, he gave a quiet smile and a comment about knowing when to step back. That one sentence broke her heart. It wasn't the silence, it was the betrayal of trust. She didn't want him to rescue her. She just needed him not to betray her with indifference. From that moment, she erased him from her life. No more duets, no more tributes, no more stories. The pain of his quiet abandonment cut deeper than any public insult. It was the moment she realized even her heroes could fail her. Despite it all, Loretta Lynn kept going. She kept singing. She kept surviving. Her music wasn't made for comfort. It was made for women like her, tired, bruised, and silenced. Her lyrics weren't polished to please the industry. They were raw, because her life was raw. And now, in her later years, Loretta is no longer afraid to speak plainly. She names the men who hurt her, not out of spite, but to finally free herself from the weight of their shadows. She's not asking for pity. She's reclaiming what was always hers, her voice, her truth, and her right to be remembered as more than a victim. Loretta Lynn's legacy is complicated, powerful, and deeply human. She exposed the cracks in country music's polished surface, forcing the industry and its fans to confront the pain behind the glamour. She sang for the women who didn't have a voice. She survived for those who weren't allowed to. And even now, the question lingers, among the 5 men she spoke about, who caused the deepest wound. Or is there someone else, still unnamed, whose betrayal has yet to be spoken aloud? Her story isn't over. It lives in every woman who dares to speak up, in every artist who refuses to be silenced, and in every note that tells the truth, no matter how painful. If Loretta's story moved you, or if it made you reflect on how we treat the women who carry our culture on their backs, we invite you to stay with us. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us as we continue to share the untold stories that deserve to be heard.